Rimbo in Sweden. That is where the talks are taking place. Let's try and lay out the geography of this, Oubai, if we may. Sanaa, the capital, this is where the airport concerned is, and it is controlled, the city and the airport, by the Houthi rebels. The government, who find themselves out of that area in the south of the country in aid and say, yes, let's reopen the airport, but we want to send our people in to inspect the planes. That's pretty much it. And of course, the rebels have said, sorry, no deal.
Yeah, absolutely. This has become a major stumbling block in the peace consultations here in Sweden between the Yemeni government and the Houthi rebels. It's important to remember that the airspace over Yemen is controlled by the Saudi-led coalition, which is, of course, allied with the Houthi government. And Sanaa, the capital of Yemen, remains under control of the Houthi rebel forces. Now, as it stands, only a few flights controlled by the United Nations are allowed in the Sanaa International Airport. The Houthis want unfettered access to the airport, to including commercial transportation. Now, the government officials that we've spoken with today have told us that they are worried that without international inspections and without the inspections of the Yemeni government, some of these flights may carry weapons from Iran. The Iranian government supports the Houthi rebels to include potentially missile parts. So it's a major point of contention between the two sides as the UN-sponsored talks seek to build a level of confidence and confidence-building measures between the two sides, but trust remains at a paucity between the two warring factions in Yemen's horrific civil war, with Sanaa's international airport now at the center of discussions.
Yeah. You may tell me about the proposed prisoner swap, 5,000 on each side, during this next answer. Please feel free to do so. But the reason why the airport discussion is so important is because there are, I think it's 20 million people within Yemen who are in need of food. There are 250,000 who are struggling to stay alive because of the conditions in which they find themselves. If planes could go in, they could bring in medical supplies, they could bring in food, they could bring in clean water because cholera is a big problem there. That is why it is so important.
Absolutely, and as it stands, the only way to bring in supplies is through the government-controlled port in Aden, which is on the far eastern side of Yemen, which means that it takes days, sometimes if not weeks, for those supplies to reach the northwestern part of the country, which is controlled by the Houthi rebels. The Houthis now control the port of Hadida, a strategic port that currently is shut down for most transportation of outside supply because of the fighting that is raging around that area. So the Houthis are seeking a level, opening the international airport will mean supplies, humanitarian supplies for the people in the areas controlled by the Houthis. The Yemeni government is not convinced. They're very much worried that the Houthis will use the cover of the humanitarian supplies and commercial supplies to bring in more weapons and more guns that they will use against the Yemeni government forces and their allied militias in a civil war that's still raging as the two sides are here in Sweden to talk.
Listen, thank you very much indeed. Breaking news there. Also,